Hello coders, I welcome you all. In this series of videos, we will discuss Git and GitHub, which are very important and widely used version control systems in the world. In this video, we are going to discuss the simple difference between Git and GitHub. We will also cover what version control is and start with Git by exploring commonly used commands. So as you can see here, difference between Git and GitHub. Git is a version control system for tracking code changes locally on your computer, while GitHub is a platform that hosts Git repositories and adds collaboration features online. In short, please remember this: Git tool to manage code versions locally, while GitHub is an online platform to store and collaborate on Git repositories. Hope all of you are clear with this. What is the difference between Git and GitHub? Now let's move on. Now let's understand version control in the simplest way. Let's assume that you have created a code file that prints hello, right? And we put it under version control. Let's call it version 1, meaning we are taking the first snapshot of our code. Please remember this. We are taking first snapshot of our code. This is our first version, right? So in the future, you may add or edit the code, changing it to hello world. We then create another save point in version control, and let's call it version 2. So please remember, here we are taking another snapshot of our code. Assume that we have added more lines to our code, or assume that we have edited our code. So let's assume that for whatever reason, such as an error or another issue, we need to delete the current code because we cannot fix it because of some random errors. So in this case, we can roll back to a previous save point that we have saved as version 2. Also, we can revert back to version 1 as well using Git. So please remember, it is not just about moving to the most recent version. You can roll back to any saved version as long as you know which version you want to revert to, right? So this is the one of the main advantages of using version control system like Git or GitHub. Now let's understand how Git takes snapshots, means how Git works. So please remember, there are three main things to consider when working with Git or any version control systems. First, working directory. Second, staging area, also called as staging index, that you can see over here. First, working directory. Second, staging area, also called as staging index. And third, which is very important, repository. So now let's understand regarding this. First, what is the working directory? Don't you worry, I will show you each and everything practically. At the end of this video, you will understand everything. So let's start with what is working directory. The working directory, also called as working tree in Git, refers to the directory on your computer where your project's files are stored and modified. It contains all the files and subdirectories of your project. That is called as working directory. In short, our project files are stored and modified over here. Now let's move to second thing, staging index, also called as staging area. So now, what is the staging area or staging index? The staging index, or simply index in Git, is an intermediate area where you prepare changes before committing them to the repository. It acts as a buffer between the working directory and the repository. This one. So it is intermediate area where we are preparing changes before committing them to this particular repository. Please remember this. Now, what is the repository? A repository, also called as repo, in Git is a directory that contains all your project's files and the version history of those files. Please remember snapshots. Here we are keeping our snapshots, so we can revert back to any snapshots when we required. I am repeating, a repository or repo in Git is a directory that contains all of your project's files, the version history of those files, means snapshots, and the metadata needed for version control. It serves as a storage space for your project's entire history and current state. So this is the area where we are storing our snapshots, so we can revert back to any snapshots when we require it, right? Okay, hope all of you are clear with this. Don't you worry. As I said, we will do everything practically. So now let's move on. Now let's understand how Git works. You can see our three main things. working directory, staging area or staging index and repository. So first, our code file is available over here inside our working directory. Currently we are working on it. Also, we are modifying this particular code file, right? Now, after modification, we want to take snapshot of this particular code file. To do this, we need to follow two steps. Please remember this. First, stage the file. First, we have to move the code file to the staging area. Means here we are preparing it for snapshotting, right? So now our code file is available inside staging area or staging index. Now, second step, we have decided to commit this particular code file. Commit means snapshot. Please remember this. So our next step, commit the file. So next, we save the snapshot of the file from the staging area into the repository. And let's call it snapshot1 or commit1. Hope all of you are clear with this. Right? Now, next. Again, assume that we have modified our code file. And again, we want to take our second snapshot. Means our second commit. Again, we have to perform two steps. First, you can see our edited file. Now first, stage the file. We have to move the updated code file to the staging area. Now our edited code is available inside staging area, right? Second step, commit the file. We have to save the updated snapshot of the file from the staging area to the repository, right? And let's call it snapshot2, means commit to. In the terminology of Git and GitHub, we called it as commit. Again, now suppose we want to take our third snapshot. Still, we have modified our code file. Again, we have to follow two steps. First, stage the file, then commit the file. This is our third snapshot, our third commit. Hope all of you are clear with this. This is the basic workflow of Git and GitHub. Please remember this. Currently, we are using Git, means our repository is available locally on our computer. In future, we will work on GitHub. At that time, we have to move our local repository to remote repository to our GitHub cloud. That's all. Please remember this. So in the same way, you can take any number of snapshots as per your requirement. And as I said, you can revert back and forth, means you can toggle between commits. You can toggle between snapshots. Hope all of you are clear with this. You can see our latest commit is 3, right? But suppose I want to revert back to this version 2, to our second commit. That we can easily do with Git, that you can see over here. Now we are using version 2. Now suppose in place of version 2, means our second commit, I want to roll back to version 1. That also we can do easily with Git or GitHub. So now you can understand how Git works. Shortly, I will show you this practically. So you can see I have covered some theory to help you understand. But Git and GitHub are practical tools. So let's get hands-on. So in the first step, you have to download Git. Currently, I'm using Windows. So by pressing this particular button, you can download Git for Windows. Same, you can download it for Mac OS, Linux or Unix as well. The installation is straightforward. Just click next through the prompts. Additionally, we will be using Visual Studio Code, VS Code. I assume that you have already installed these two things, Git and VS Code. So now let's move to the practical part. So let's get started. Now let's open command prompt. And here I am moving to the drive. And let's create new directory with name git_demo. You can give any other name as well. Let's move inside this particular directory. And let's open VS Code from here by using following command, code space dot. Let's press enter. You can see Visual Studio Code. Let's open new terminal and let's check if Git is installed and integrated with VS Code. To check this, we have to write git ---- version. You can see this particular version is installed on my computer. Now let's do another important thing. Please remember when we discussed a version control system, also called as VCS, VCS tracks who made which changes, right? So for this to work, we need to tell Git who we are. I am repeating, if we are working on version control system, we have to tell the system who made which changes. For this to work, we need to tell Git who we are, right? Then only Git can understand who made which changes. So we can do this by using the git config command. Let me show you this. Let's write git config ---- global. So as you can see here, we are using ---- global flag to apply the settings to all Git repositories on our system. However, you can also set different values for different repositories if needed. But currently I am using global flag to apply these settings to all Git repositories on my system. So first we have to set user.name. Let's set it to my name. Done. Also we have to set, again I'm using global user.email. Let's set it to bhattpriyang@gmail.com. Let's press enter. All done. Now let's check it once. So for that we have to use following command. Git config ---- list. You can see over here user.name and user.email. So when I commit, it will show you this, that who made which changes, right? Hope all of you are clear with this. Now done. Let's clear this. Also we can use following command to check the configuration, like git config user.name. You can see. Also we can check git config user.email, that you can see over here. Now Git will understand who we are. Done. Hope all of you are clear with this. So now let's move on. So as you can see, we have created this particular directory, right? So let's create one code file with name first.py, and let's write some code, simple code for hello world. Let's save our file. So this is our directory which contains this code file. So if you want to start version control for this particular code file, we have to initialize repository. So if we want to initialize Git repository, we have to use git init command. Git space init, that will initialize Git repository on our system. Let's press enter. You can see initialized empty Git repository, that you can see over here. So actually this initialize an empty Git repository, but it also creates a hidden directory named .git. Let me show you this. Let's move to this particular folder, git_demo. You can see over here. So git init command creates a new .git directory in our current directory, that you can see over here, git_demo, which is our current directory, and .git, which is created by git init command, right? So this directory contains all the metadata and version history for the repository. After this step, means after initializing Git repository, we can start adding files to the repository, committing changes, and using other Git command to manage our version control. Please remember this. If you can see this, .git means we can say that we have successfully initialized Git repository, Git local repository at this time. Please remember, now this particular directory git_demo is called as working directory, right? So now our git_demo becomes our working directory, right? So we have completed this particular step. We have created working directory by initializing Git repository. Done. So as I said, the working directory or working tree in Git refers to the directory on our computer where our project's files are stored and modified. It contains all the files and subdirectories for our project, right? So we have successfully created our working directory by initializing local Git repository using git init command. Now let's move on. So now we can say we have working directory and local Git repository. We need to start tracking our changes. So first we move our file to the staging area, also known as staging index, right? So we have completed this particular step, git init. Now we want to move our code file, which is first.py, to the staging area. So for that we have to use this particular command, git add file name. This command will move our code file to staging index or staging area. Let's revise what is staging index or staging area. Please remember, staging index or staging area in Git is an intermediate area where you prepare changes before committing them to the repository. Hope all of you are clear with this. It acts as a buffer between working directory and the repository. So you are wondering, why need to do this? Why need to put the file first into the staging area can't be directly put inside the repository. So please remember, in this step, we decide which files from the working directory we want to commit to the repository. Every time we are not adding each and every files to the repository, please remember this, that we can decide at this particular step, staging step, at staging index. Again, we will discuss this practically. So now let's do this. Let's add our code file to the staging area using this particular command. Let's move to VS Code. So now that we have decided which file we want to track, right? First.py. So we need to add it to the staging area using following command: git add and file name first.py. Let's press enter. Now done. Let's clear this. Now the question is how we can check whether our file is in staging area or not. So for that, there is very important command called as git status. Let's press enter. You can see over here, no commits yet, means this file is available inside staging area. You can see using this command, we can unstage it. I will show you this, but you can see file in the green color means this file is available inside staging area and ready to be committed to our repository. So now we can say that our file in the staging area. We are ready to take our first snapshot of the file. This means we can commit the file to the version control, moving it from the staging area to the local repository. So you can see now our file is available inside staging area. Now let's move or let's commit our file. So also we can say we are going to take snapshot. So for that we have to use this particular command, git commit -m for the message, commit message. If we do this, you can see now our code file is available inside Git repository, which is our first snapshot. So we can say we have successfully taken our first snapshot of our code file. Let me show you this practically. Let's move to VS Code. As you can see, currently our file inside staging area. So let's clear this and we have to write git commit -m, and here we can give commit message, which is very important. Add basic hello world script. So this is our commit message. So please remember, commit messages are very important. So we have to give effective commit messages that will summarize changes concisely. Please remember also we have to use present tense. Here I can write added basic hello world script, but as per the common Git terminology, we have to use present tense. Another, our commit message must provide context, and also we have to maintain consistency. This helps ensure a clear project history and facilitates collaboration. So please remember, we have to write commit message properly, right? So now let's press enter. You can see one file changed. So we can say now our file is available inside our local repository, and we can say that we have successfully taken our first snapshot. Let's check git status once again. You can see on master branch, nothing to commit. Working tree clean, right? Let's clear this and let's check git log. So using this command, we can check the log of commits. You can see over here, author name. Hope all of you are clear with this, that we have provided using git config command. Commit was made at this particular date and time, and you can see at the end commit message that we have provided. So you can see commit, and this is commit ID. So commit IDs are those complicated looking strings that appears after the word commit in the log messages that you can see over here. So this particular commit ID is the 40 characters long string. So this complex number, which is made up of digit and characters, are actually called hash, which is calculated using an algorithm called SHA-1, SHA-1, which is cryptographic algorithm. For the simplicity, just understand this is hash value, which allows us to identify particular commit. That's all. Now let's create more files. Second.py, and let's write this is our second file. Let's save this. Also, let's create our third file, and let's write this is our third file. Let's save this file. Let's clear this. Let's check git status. You can see over here untracked files, second.py and third.py. right? So these files are still not available inside staging area. Means these two files are currently available inside our working directory. So let's add these newly created files to the staging area. So as you know, we can add these files to the staging area one by one, like git add and file name, right? Like this, one by one. But what if we have many files? It can be tedious to type this command repeatedly. So instead of doing this one by one, we can add all the files using single command. So in place of this, we have to write dot. Dot means all. Let's press enter. All done. Let's clear this and let's check git status. You can see over here, green color means these two files now available inside our staging area, right? Again, let's clear this and let's check git log. You can see over here. Please remember, we have added these two files to the staging area, but still we haven't committed these files. That's why you can see it is not listed inside this log. So please remember this. Now our files are available inside staging area, but we have to take snapshot, right? So for that, we have to write git commit -m and commit message add second.py and third.py. Let's press enter. Now you can see two files changed, two insertions, right? Let's clear this and let's check log once again. You can see over here. This is our latest commit and our previous commit that you can see over here. Latest commit at the top, right? With commit messages that you can see over here. So in place of git log, we can also use, let's first clear this, git log --1 line to view the log in a concise single line format instead of many lines that you can see over here. Our two commits with hash values that you can see over here. And you can see head is pointing to master, which represents the current state or position inside our repository. Don't you worry, we will discuss when we will discuss branching. Again, let's check git status. You can see over here on branch master, nothing to commit. Working tree clean. Now done. Hope all of you are clear with basic workflow of git. So now you can see this is our third file. Assume that our content has been lost for whatever reason, right? Let's save our file. As you can see, our contents have been updated. Let's check git status. You can see this particular file is modified, right? But please remember, still our file is available inside our working directory, not inside this staging area, right? So now we can use this particular command, git space diff for difference and our file name. You can see over here, one line is removed and these many lines are added. And you can see over here, A third.py and B third.py. So you can see it is maintaining different versions of our file. And here you can see minus. So this line has been removed and these three lines are added. This is in red color, which is removed and added in green color that you can see over here. So now what to do? Our content has gone. So please remember, we can roll back. So for that, we need to use following command. Let's clear this. We have to write git checkout third.py. And please remember, currently our file is available inside our working directory, not inside our staging area, right? So let's press enter. Please look at here. Done. So this way we can roll back to our previous commit that you can see over here. So please remember, git checkout restore files to the latest stored snapshot, reverting any changes before staging, right? Hope all of you are clear with this. We will discuss this in detail in upcoming videos, right? But hope all of you are clear with this. Now let's move on. So now let's create more files. Fourth.py. This is our fourth file. Let's save this file. Let's create temp.py. Assume that this contains API key, also username and password, right? Let's save this file. So let's assume that we have one file, temp.py, that contains sensitive information that you can see over here, like AWS account details or an API key or for particular login username and password, which we don't want to commit, means we want it will not become the part of the repository, right? So first, let's check Git status. You can see untracked files. Let's clear this and let's add these files to the staging area, right? As I said, our temp.py contains some sensitive information that we don't want to commit. But as you can see, these files are available inside staging area because just we have added. Now what to do? First, we have to unstage all the files. All the files we have to use dot. If you want to unstage only particular file, then we have to write file name that we want to unstage. I want to unstage all the files. So let's press enter. Let's clear this and now let's check Git status. You can see over here. These two files are unstaged that you can see over here. Now, as I said, we don't want to commit this particular file. So for that, we have to create very important file, git ignore, or we have to list all the files that we don't want to commit inside this particular file. .git ignore file. .git ignore, it starts with dot, means it's a hidden file. Let's save this file. You can see we have listed this particular file inside .git ignore file. So now Git will skip this particular file. It will ignore this particular file. It will not commit this particular file. Now once again, let's check Git status. You can see over here, .py has been removed. That you can see over here. Let's clear this. Now let's add files to the staging area. All the files. Again, let's check Git status. You can see over here. This file has been skipped because we have listed inside .git ignore file. So please remember this. Now these files are inside our staging area. So we can commit it. Git commit -m add fourth .py. Done. Let's check Git log 1 line. You can see over here. So hope all of you are clear with this. Please remember, we need to list all the files inside this particular file, this particular hidden file, .git ignore, that we don't want to commit. Hope all of you are clear with this. This is very important concept. I think I have covered basic workflow of Git. So we will discuss more about Git and GitHub in upcoming videos. Hope all of you are clear with basic workflow of Git. Now let's revise. First step, when you start version control, we have to initialize Git repository using git init command to start version control for our project, right? Second step, stage files. So this is our code file that we have to put inside staging area. So we have to add the files that we want to track to the staging area using this particular command, git add file name. If you want to add all the files, you have to write git add dot. Dot means all the files, right? So here we are preparing them for commit. So we have completed two steps. First, initialize the Git repository and we have added our files to the staging area or staging index. Now third step, commit files. Move the files from the staging area to the Git repository using this particular command, git commit -m, and here we have to give commit message. Now you can see our file is available inside Git repository. This is the most basic workflow of Git. Now next, update and commit. So when we modify files, means we add content to the files or remove the content from the files, we have to perform two steps. First, this, after modifying the file, we have to add it to the staging area using this particular command. And in the second step, we have to commit the changes using git commit -m commit message to the Git repository. That's all. This is the basic workflow of Git. Hope all of you are clear with this. More regarding Git and GitHub, we will discuss in the upcoming videos. Hope you like this video. Please don't forget to subscribe this channel. If you like this video, smash that like button. Thank you very much for watching this video. Take care. Bye-bye. See you in the next video.